Everything changed in a matter of seconds. Welcome to NFL Nexus. I'm your host, and today we're diving straight into an explainer that unpacks the absolute mounting threats facing the San Francisco 49ers as they enter a truly high-stakes do-or-die 2026 season. We're going to look at the cold, hard facts derived directly from the latest insider reports, and we're going to see just how incredibly fragile a championship window can truly be. Before we get into the heavy, cinematic details of this breakdown, if you love deep-dive, no-fluff NFL content, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, like this explainer, and comment your thoughts down below. And if you really want to take it a step further and support what we do here, consider becoming a channel member. Your support is literally what keeps these deep dives coming. Now, let's set the stage. In the National Football League, fortunes pivot on a dime. A team that feels absolutely destined for a decade-long dynasty can suddenly wake up fighting just to keep its head above water. For the San Francisco 49ers, this 2026 season, it isn't just another year on the calendar. It's a reckoning. Just think about what this franchise is desperately trying to hold on to. Years of meticulously hoarding draft capital, the agonizing, back-breaking playoff losses that have permanently scarred this core, and a roster built with a heavy, desperate urgency to win yesterday. The foundation is visibly cracking, and the pressure inside that building is at an absolute boiling point.
It's a chilling thought, isn't it? Everything changed in a matter of seconds. And now, this single dramatic question hangs heavy over the entire Bay Area. Is the championship window already closed? You know, in the modern NFL, the margin for error is microscopic. You don't get a polite notification when your era of dominance comes to an end. It just ends. It slips away in the form of quiet, nagging injuries, bitter contract disputes, and surging division rivals who suddenly, out of nowhere, figure it all out. The 49ers have been a certified powerhouse, constructed with meticulous care, just brimming with all-pro talent at premium positions. But as we transition into the 2026 campaign, the walls are closing in from multiple directions. You've got the offense, plagued by unresolved, bitter drama that threatens to completely rip the locker room apart. You've got the defense, staring directly into a terrifying identity crisis right on the edge of the line of scrimmage. And perhaps most devastatingly, the division they once ruled with an absolute iron fist, well, it just no longer belongs to them. This isn't just about trying to win a Super Bowl anymore, guys. This is about trying to survive a brutal gauntlet that is actively, aggressively working against them at every single turn.
To truly understand the gravity of the situation, we have to look at the current landscape of the NFC West. NFL Network's Kevin Patra recently assessed the vulnerability of all the division champions. And when you look at the math here, it's incredibly telling. The latest vulnerability rankings mathematically block San Francisco's most straightforward path to a title. Patra ranked the 8 division champions from the previous season based on how likely they are to fall off and lose their crown. The Seattle Seahawks, they came in 5th. This means there are 4 other division winners, teams like the Chicago Bears and the Denver Broncos, who are considered far more vulnerable, far more likely to lose their grip on first place. So why does this matter so much for the 49ers? Because Seattle is entering 2026 with a massive, undeniable shield of credibility. Let's look at the smallest details of Patra's assessment. Teams like the Bears are dealing with the growing pains of a young developing roster, and the Broncos are desperately trying to sustain success with a really inconsistent offensive rhythm. But Seattle? The reports tell us that Seattle deserves a lot more grace considering they actually went all the way and won a Super Bowl. They aren't viewed as a one-year fluke. They are a formidable, proven machine built meticulously from the trenches out. Putting them at number 5 in vulnerability is a massive sign of faith from league insiders that the Seahawks are more than capable of repeating as division champions. And for the 49ers, that is the ultimate immovable roadblock.
Which brings us to the harsh, unforgiving truth of the situation. With the Seahawks heavily favored to maintain their iron grip on the NFC West, the 49ers are staring down the desperate reality of another brutal wildcard duel. Think about what that actually means in the modern NFL landscape. If you don't win your division, you don't get a home playoff game. You don't get that crucial bye week to heal your battered, bruised roster. You are forced to take to the road in the bitter cold of January. I want you to paint that picture in your mind for a second. It means stepping off a plane into freezing weather. It means facing deafening, hostile environments where the offensive line literally cannot hear the snap count. It means the physical toll on an aging roster. Veterans dealing with micro tears, sprained joints, and sheer, compounding exhaustion is magnified 100 times over as they fight tooth and nail just to advance a single week. San Francisco knows this exact pain all too well. It's a war of attrition. If they want to be the champions in 2026, they are going to need to beat the champions of 2025. And right now, the projections are simply not in their favor. The math, the momentum, and the leading analysts are all pointing toward a brutal, exhausting, wildcard path for this roster. A path that has historically broken even the most talented teams. Let's move over to the offensive side of the ball for a minute, where insider Jordan Schultz completely shatters the illusion of a blockbuster Brandon Ayuk trade. When a team is forced into a dogfight for a wildcard spot, they need absolutely every single offensive weapon firing on all cylinders. But the 49ers are currently dealing with a staggering void. Before we look at his looming exit, we have to remember what Brandon Ayuk actually meant to this specific offensive scheme. His razor-sharp route running, the way he violently blocked in the run game out on the perimeter, the pure gravity he commanded that forced opposing safeties to drift, opening up the entire middle of the field for the tight ends. He was the engine in so many ways. The drama surrounding his contract and his future has been a dark, heavy cloud hanging over the franchise. Fans have desperately clung to the hope that if Ayuk does leave, the 49ers will at least receive a king's ransom in a trade, a massive haul of first- or second-round draft picks to instantly reload the roster. But Jordan Schultz of Yahoo Sports Daily just dumped ice-cold water on that entire narrative. His quote really says it all. He won't be there next season, so why would you trade for him? Schultz detailed extensive conversations with people inside the building and around the league. The urgency for other teams to trade for him just isn't there, primarily because the rest of the league knows the 49ers' leverage has entirely completely evaporated.
The timeline of this lost value is honestly tragic. Despite the loud, persistent rumors linking him to his former Arizona State quarterback Jaden Daniels out in Washington, the reality of the medical situation makes a lucrative trade a total fantasy. This right here is the true anatomy of lost value. Back in 2024, Ayuk suffered a devastating knee injury. And we need to be clear, it wasn't just a bump or a bruise. It was catastrophic enough to wipe out his entire 2025 campaign. Let's dive into the micro details of what that actually means for a professional athlete. It means brutal, persistent swelling. It means severe muscle atrophy in the leg. It means grueling, agonizing hours of rehab every single day just to learn how to walk normally again, let alone cut at 20 miles per hour against an elite NFL cornerback. He missed the entire season. He didn't log a single practice rep. Now entering 2026, his physical future is a massive unknown. Will he ever regain that same explosive top-end speed? Will his brain even trust the surgically repaired ligament enough to violently plant his foot in the turf? No one knows for sure. And in the NFL, uncertainty is absolute poison to a player's trade market. The Washington Commanders desperately need help around Terry McLaurin. And yeah, that reunion storyline with Jaden Daniels is a great narrative. But as Schultz pointed out, look at the salary cap implications. Washington has the money, they have the draft picks, but they don't have to surrender premium capital right now. They can just wait it out. The devastating 2024 knee injury wiped out his entire 2025 season without a single practice, turning a massive trade asset into a situation where a straight release is the most likely outcome. I really want you to let that sink in. A player of Brandon Ayuk's caliber, a genuine difference maker, potentially walking out the door for absolutely nothing in return. The trade market is frozen solid. Opposing general managers in the NFL operate with zero mercy. They are ruthless. When they smell blood in the water, they circle. They are absolutely not going to surrender a first or second round draft pick for a receiver coming off a catastrophic knee injury who hasn't seen live game action in over a year, especially when they strongly suspect the 49ers front office will eventually be forced to release him anyway just to clear essential salary cap space. For a franchise trying to navigate a rapidly closing championship window, losing a premier, all-pro asset for zero return is quite literally a nightmare scenario. It deprives them of the young, cheap, foundational talent they desperately need to infuse into an aging locker room to reload for the future. It's a massive blow.
Section 1. The biggest question mark. A looming edge crisis.
So, with the offense facing a depleted arsenal and a divisional roadblock sitting up north, the defense has to be absolutely perfect. If the offense is compromised, the defense must carry the heavy burden. That is the classic championship formula. But the San Francisco 49ers defense is harboring a massive, glaring vulnerability of its own. It's a looming crisis, right on the edge of the defensive line. A crisis that could unravel their entire season before it even kicks off. Edge rusher Mykel Williams was drafted 11th overall to be the final terrifying piece of a championship puzzle. But the reality was a devastating ACL tear just as he started to figure out how to rush from the inside. The expectation on draft day was sky high. When you spend the 11th overall pick on an edge rusher, you aren't drafting a developmental project. You are drafting a lethal weapon for right now. The 49ers envisioned Williams as the terrifying physical force opposite Nick Bosa. But his rookie season was a roller coaster. He showed flashes, particularly anchoring against the run, absorbing brutal double teams. But anchoring the run doesn't justify the 11th overall pick. You need sacks. Then the coaching staff made a brilliant micro-adjustment. They started kicking him to the inside on clear passing downs. Suddenly the light bulb went on. He used his explosive first step to completely blow past slower, heavier offensive guards. He became highly productive. He became downright dangerous. And then, tragedy struck. Picture the exact moment, the sudden transfer of immense weight, planting the foot in the turf to violently change direction, the terrifying pop. An ACL tear ended his rookie year prematurely. A devastating blow right when the biomechanics of his rush were finally, beautifully coming together.
His rookie season was so completely derailed that in a recent league redraft he fell out of the first round entirely. The media and analysts can be incredibly ruthless when assessing draft value. In CBS Sports' Jared Dubin's analysis, he points out that in a recent 2025 redraft exercise, Williams was the highest original pick to completely fall out of the first round. He didn't just slide a few spots down the board. He plummeted out of the top 32 entirely, theoretically replaced by lesser-known developmental corners and rotational guards who simply managed to stay on the field and produce. Is that immense disrespect too harsh? Perhaps. He was dealing with a massive injury after all, but it perfectly encapsulates the suffocating pressure he faces entering year 2. He has severely limited production on professional tape, he is returning from major reconstructive knee surgery, and he has to prove himself all over again, under a brand new defensive coordinator whose scheme he has literally never played in. The deck is stacked against him.
So the absolutely crucial point here is, if Williams falters onto the new defensive coordinator, the defense collapses, leaving Nick Bosa supported by nothing but this jumbled mess of rotational players. If Mykel Williams isn't ready to go at full speed for Week 1, this is what the 49ers are heavily relying on to get to the quarterback. Let's dive into the detailed scouting reports of these backups. First, you have Cam Sample. He's a solid football player, sure, but strictly depth. He fundamentally lacks the elite bend required to turn the corner and get to the quarterback on a crucial 3rd and long. You have Kyon White, who remains completely unproven at the NFL level. Sam Okeonu is in the exact same boat as Sample, purely rotational depth meant to eat up minutes, not win critical one-on-one matchups. And then there's Romello Height. He is a great athletic contrast to the others, a real speed threat, but the reports are crystal clear. He is an undersized rookie. Visualize what happens in the trenches during a grueling 4-quarter game. If you leave Height out there for too long, a 320-pound NFL offensive tackle will simply lean on him. Snap after snap, that immense, crushing weight saps his legs quarter by quarter until he physically breaks down. Because of this, he can only play a very specific, limited number of snaps. You simply cannot send Nick Bosa into a grueling 17-game war with just this rotation backing him up. Opposing offensive coordinators aren't stupid. They will simply double or triple team Bosa on every single snap, daring these backups to beat them, completely evaporating the 49ers' pass rush.
But if Williams defies the odds, steps into his role, and Bosa remains healthy, San Francisco instantly reclaims its high-end edge terror. This right here is the glimmer of hope in the dark. This is exactly why they play the games. If Mykel Williams rehabs perfectly, if he absorbs the intricate, complex nuances of the new defensive scheme, and if he finally taps into that immense, violent potential that made him the 11th overall pick, the entire paradigm of the NFC shifts overnight. Think about it. A fully healthy Bosa and an evolved, explosive Williams create an absolute nightmare for opposing quarterbacks. It forces the offensive line to pick their poison. You can't double-team both of them. It allows the linebackers to roam free and aggressively attack the run without hesitation. It effectively masks any lingering vulnerabilities in the secondary because the quarterback simply doesn't have time to throw, and it gives the defense the lethal teeth it desperately needs to close out tight, agonizing games against elite quarterbacks. It is the ultimate climax of the defense, and the reality is the entire 2026 season rests almost entirely on the integrity of his surgically repaired knee.
Let's not forget, even without that lethal edge duo on the field, the 49ers were just one single win away from securing home field advantage in last year's playoffs. One single win. That is how agonizingly close this team is to the absolute pinnacle of the sport. Let's expand on the butterfly effect of a single victory in the National Football League. Despite the crushing injuries, despite the agonizing setbacks, the core of this roster is still dripping with elite talent and immense veteran pride. They navigated the sheer chaos of last season and fell just one victory short of forcing the entire road to the Super Bowl to run straight through Levi's Stadium. Think about the micro moments that completely alter football history. A single dropped pass on 3rd down. A safety biting on a play-action fake by just half a step. One blown coverage assignment that turns a 13-win dynasty into a 12-win wildcard team playing on the road. It proves that the winning culture in San Francisco is very much still there. It proves the coaching infrastructure is incredibly resilient, but it also highlights the terrifying microscopic margin between a dynasty and a total collapse. Look at NFL history. Look at how fast the Legion of Boom fractured over one single play at the goal line. One win was the sheer difference between resting safely on a bye week and being thrown to the wolves in the freezing cold of the wildcard round.
The stakes have literally never been higher, and their destiny hinges on a recovering knee, a fractured offensive weapon, and an unbreakable division. So what do you guys think? Are they merely reloading for another deep, historic run, or are we witnessing the slow, agonizing collapse of a championship window? The 2026 season is going to demand immediate, definitive answers. They must find a way past the reigning Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawks. They must somehow survive the bitter, messy fallout of the Brandon Ayuk saga, navigating the stark reality of likely losing an All-Pro for absolutely nothing. And they must desperately pray that Mykel Williams can transform from a medical question mark into a terrifying exclamation point on that defensive line. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. If you enjoyed this cinematic deep dive into the microscopic details and the real stories shaping the league, make sure you subscribe to NFL Nexus, like this explainer, and drop a comment below letting me know, is the 49ers window finally closed? And don't forget to support the channel by becoming a member. I'll see you in the next one.